Raiders! It's Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter. That's right, Murf and Sonny from the Dago Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
Touchdown! Kenny Stabler goes all the way.
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
Welcome in to another fan-castic episode of Raiders Fan Radio. I am your host, Sonny Dago. As I finish my Clash of Clans attack, we will start the show promptly.
Oh
with
my
me
gosh.
in studio.
Thanks for locking in and focusing there, Sonny. Appreciate that.
With me in studio, as always, is my co-host, Murf. Murf, how are you?
Hang on a minute. I got a Clash Royale I got to finish up here. Hold on. I got a balloon attack that's just kicking some major butt there.
Supercell don't pay us no money. We got to get moving. We got good things to talk about, Murf.
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, Sonny, it's training camp started. We are official, buddy. We are in the 2017 start of the 2017 NFL season. The Raiders had their pre-camp thing when Derek Carr was returning kicks, but then as today, all the veterans reported official, except for that one guy.
It's like the pre-camp to the OTA, to the cuts, to the veterans reporting. I mean, how do you keep up with all this stuff, right? So all we know is that they're getting together, they're going over plays, and we're excited because there's actually stuff to officially talk about once again. And Murph, we got a huge show today, huge show. Just did a great interview with Raider Jeff from deadpiratesports.com. You're going to want to check out this interview because he's giving away free swag. And we'll get into that in a minute. If you haven't checked out Dead Pirate Sports, go there now as you're listening to the show. Anything Raider related you can get on deadpiratesports.com, including Murph's personal favorite, caftans, if you will. So we got a big interview coming up. After that, Murph, we got 6 topics today. Yeah, 6 topics. First topic is Donald Penn holding out. Should you pay the man? Should you cut the man? Should you tell him to shut up and come to camp? We're going to talk about that. And then camp. Camp started is our second topic. Del Rio and Carr just had a press conference. We got a couple audio hits from both of those guys. Third topic of the day, Taiwan Jones and Austin Howard.
Ah, man.
They got cut. One I'm a little more happy about than the other. And one.
How about a lot more happy? Sorry.
And number 4, OBI and Conley signed their contracts. Still some question marks around Conley, whether he even should have got the contract signed or not until his stuff is settled. Who knows? 5th, we don't have a Murph's Internet Black Hole segment, but Murph is he's telling me pre-show he has an angle about the middle linebacker that we haven't looked at yet. I think the middle linebacker's been overdone. Murph says he has an angle we're going to check out, so we're going to check that out. And then also, we have a call-in contest, and we'll get into that later on in the show. Murph, anything else, other announcements before we get going?
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These two. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio, or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter, but they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
Murph, I have a confession to make.
Please. What, you did more Clash Royale or Clash of Clans during that?
No, I'm waiting for my troop to build up again.
Oh,
but
okay.
when Uncle Mosh does his little thing there, when he goes, many, many more, I always mouth it and go, many, many more. It's kind of funny.
Well, I'm sure he'll be glad to know that you're mouthing along with him.
Yes, mouthing along with him. All right, so we mentioned just a couple seconds ago, we had a big-time interview with Raider Jeff from deadpiratesports.com, and we're going to play that for you right meow. All right, Raider Nation, welcome in. As we stated earlier, we have a special guest with us. It's Jeff from deadpiratesports.com. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys.
Hey, appreciate you coming on the show. We got a lot to talk about and some trivia and some free swag coming up, so that's all fine and dandy. But first off, Jeff, who are you and why should Raider Nation care about you?
Hey, that's a good question. You know, it goes both ways, right? But I love Raider Nation. The reason why I've been a Raider fan, I'm 52 years old for 52 years. Was brought up a Raider fan, love the Raiders, never stopped. And my whole business is geared just for Raider Nation. Nobody else, just our peeps, just our friends.
So you're 54 years old, and you've been a fan.
52, he just said. Khalil Mack, son.
Yeah, 52. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 52 years. I thought maybe you were a fan at 2 years old. I don't know. How do you become a fan at birth? That's pretty amazing. No,
man, when my mom and dad conceived, for some reason, man, they put the Raider logo on my heart, and it's been there ever since. So,
just
I don't know.
Imprinted. So did you grow up in Northern California, or where'd you grow up?
I did not. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. You know, just got sick of the cold, moved to Arizona, and I love it down here.
So how did you become a Raiders fan? Like was it your dad, mom, relatives? How did that all start?
You know, it's kind of weird. My very first Christmas, which I was born a few days before Christmas, I got some Raider pajamas, which were the old logo, you know, with the gold in it, which was really crazy. And you know, I just kept going from that point forward. And, you know, I didn't, watch a lot of games, but, you know, like I was able to, get some stuff from, my friends, families, things like that. And, you know, it just kind of stuck with me. And then, when I played Little League football, I played on the Raiders, so it was kind of cool. It's just always been there. And the silver and black, I painted stuff. I painted my bike silver and black when I was little. I don't know. It was just imprinted there.
So it's something you kind of found on your own, essentially. Like your parents didn't formulate your fan base. You gravitated towards the Raiders on your own, sounds like.
Yeah, I did. My family's always been involved in sports and things like that, but it was never something that was, hey, I'm a Raider fan. You got to figure, I started being a Raider fan in 1964, so, the Raiders haven't been around long enough to really, be huge like they are now. But, it's kind of a different mystique from back then. It was more, I liked the logo. I thought it was cool. And, I liked the colors when I was a kid. And then it just evolved from that point. And then, as you get a little older and start playing ball and things like that, you kind of identify with players back then. Like, I identify with George Blanda. The guy was just awesome. He was the old man. So that was intriguing to me.
So were you more the kicker or the quarterback then?
When I played, I was middle linebacker. I played middle linebacker every year that I had played.
Okay.
But just for some reason, man, he just had that, he just looked like a pirate. Think about it.
He had the pirate look.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Jim Otto, So, those guys were, I just loved that roughness. And I was always a rough kid. I like to hit people. And So it just kind of worked out good.
Is there a lot of Raider fans in Salt Lake City at that time, or are you kind of on your own out there?
You know, you're just kind of on your own, really. You know, up in Salt Lake, there wasn't a lot, you know, there at that time as far as, you know, fans. Of course, nowadays or back then, you know, you didn't have the internet and all that kind of crap. So if you ran into another Raider fan when you were little, it was pure happenstance that you even did see somebody. Yeah, I mean, they were there, of course. But, you know, I remember in junior high school, you know, I got in trouble for wearing my Raider gear to school because she thought I was a gang member. I was like, come on, shit, you know.
In 5th grade, my dad went to an old school Raiders game. It was about 1988-89 at the Coliseum. It was a flag football game with the old school Raiders versus the Steelers. And so my dad, we buy these 2 hats. It says, if you ain't a Raiders fan, you ain't blank, you know, the S word. And I remember wearing it to school a couple days later, and my 5th grade teacher didn't like it too much, you know. And so from then on, my dad would tell me, he goes, see, everybody hates the Raiders. There's a conspiracy against them stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, do you remember, I don't know if you guys are old enough, but, you know, you remember when you used to go to school and they had these pencil dispensers and you put, you know, a nickel or a dime in and you got out the NFL teams. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I used to buy those all the time, and I'd have, you know, because we didn't get to see very many games, and so I had to kind of pretend. And I used to fight with those pencils, and the Raiders would bust the crap out of the other pencils. You know, so the Raiders always won, man. That was kind of my way as a little kid, you know, entertaining myself, you know. But the Raiders always won, man. They was always the last pencil standing.
So when did you make it down to Arizona?
About 8 years ago. We just decided, you know, got a wild hair up our butt, just decided, you know, hey, we're going to take off the RE and go play. And we loved it down here. Of course, I'd done business down in Tucson or down in Phoenix before quite a few times. And then I just always loved Arizona. You don't have to shovel snow.
It's true.
You know, we just went to different places and different towns and just kind of, you know, filled everything out. And then about 3 years ago, we landed in Tucson and just love it, man. The people are awesome. There's a huge Raider fan base in Tucson. You know, we decided to put roots here and call it good.
Raider fans, we're on the air with Raider Jeff. He is the owner, proprietor of DeadPirateSports.com. I do want to ask you about the website, but first you mentioned that you had a birthday that was a couple days before Christmas. Our Uncle Mark, who does all the voiceover work for Raider Fan Radio, his birthday is the 23rd. That doesn't happen to be your birthday, is it?
No, mine's the 21st.
Oh, the 21st. Okay. Because he always makes the claim that it was him, Howard Hughes, and Jesus. 23, 24, and 25. And so I thought it'd be kind of funny if you were on the 23rd as well. But we'll add you in on the 21st, and we'll have to find somebody for the 22nd to fill in. Yeah,
just have me in there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Tell us a little bit, though, about Dead Pirate Sports. We know you have a litany of Raiders gear. You have a ton of stuff, everything from barbecue sets and coasters and glasses to custom-made gear and shirts. And so tell us about the website and what folks can find at your site.
Well, it's an evolving process. I've got another 300 items to put up. My whole idea behind Dead Pirate Sports, and I'll give you a little background, was, you know, I started it with the intention to make it just a little small thing, you know, that a few people could go buy and, you know, buy some jewelry, because my wife makes little jewelry things and things like that. And it's just evolved from that point. It's just been kind of weird because people ask for more stuff. You know, what can you get? What can you get? And I've owned lots of businesses in the past and still do. You know, I just put my mind to it and started, you know, making contacts and bringing more stuff in. But the reason why I made a change was back last year on July 15th, I had a Widowmaker heart attack. For all intents and purposes, less than 1% of the people survive that type of heart attack. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. And it made me realize that, hey, I got to start concentrating on something that I enjoy, which is my Raiders. And at that point last year, I started taking off and growing more and more and more and more. And it's just gone through the roof. But my whole thing is that I don't need to make a lot of money. My other businesses do well. You know, I'm in merchant processing as well. And that's why I can keep my prices where they're at, is because I don't need to charge a lot. And I negotiate contracts. I negotiate with my vendors to bring my prices as low as I can get them. And be able to offer a wide range of stuff that, basically as it's growing now and as we're putting more and more and more items on there, I want it to basically be the Raider fan super site where it's one-stop shop. No matter what you want, no matter what you need, it's going to be there.
Well, it's impressive, the list of items that you have on the site, and it's all awesome stuff. It's all killer quality stuff, and the way that it's displayed and the look of everything is fantastic. I do want to ask you also, in addition, you do a lot of custom work, and I believe you're you're decorating a bar down in Vegas, right? There's a Good Times Billiards Hall down there in Vegas that you're working with those folks. Tell us about some more things like that, some of the special projects that you're working on.
That's right. We are working with Good Time Billiards in Las Vegas. We already went through phase 1 of decorating. I wanted to make sure that if he wanted to be a Raider bar, that it wasn't just something that was Mickey Mouse and thrown together. I wanted to make sure that new fans, old fans that maybe have gone to a game or two, they can walk into that bar and see history. They know from the time the Raiders start up until the current what's there. So the place is decked out and has tons and tons of pictures and history that they can go in there and see and take a look at. Not only that, but this guy's got the best Hawaiian barbecue in the world, man, I swear. So you're going to have some awesome game time Hawaiian barbecue to munch on. Also, the other thing that's going to make this place really unique is that there's a retail store inside. So you can go in. Cool. You can go in there to Good Times Billiards. It's on 5740 West Charleston Boulevard in Las Vegas. You can go in there and shop. All the gear that I have, there's not all of it, of course, on the website is there. So you can go in there and buy a set of coasters, buy a necklace, buy a T-shirt, buy a hat. It's going to be stocked. So you can go in there anytime and buy gear. Sit down, have a beer. Take a look at the history. Game day times, they're going to do touchdown shots. The whole bit and caboodle. So it's just a nice place. It's clean. It's not a dive. It's a nice place. Plus, we're going to start a Raider Nation pool league. You go in, it'll probably be a mixed double league. Raider Nation battles Raider Nation playing pool. So it's going to be an all-around good place to go.
You are a smart man, Jeff, having a storefront inside of a Raider bar like that for your merch. That is a killer idea.
That's just the first one, my friend.
That's awesome. That is fantastic, man. I love it. Let's
talk about booster clubs for a second, shall we?
Please. We talk about them a lot.
I work a lot with the booster clubs. And if anybody listening is a member of, a president of, or on the board of a booster club, I can take care of everything you could possibly think of. All your custom work, hats, T-shirts. I'll put your logo on a pair of underwear if you want. All your giveaway stuff. And also, I give every booster club their own discount code. So you just get a hold of me through the website, deadpiratesports.com, and let me know who you are, and I'll give you a discount code. Space City Raider Nation, they got their own discount code. The 702 in Las Vegas, she's got her own discount code. And a number of other ones. I've done custom flags for a number of the booster clubs. But if you're listening and you're a member of a booster club, get a hold of your president, have them get a hold of me, and it's basically wholesale pricing. There's no reason for the booster clubs to pay full price on their Raider gear.
Jeff, yeah, that's awesome. We try to interview booster clubs here and there. Last week we just talked to the Northern Virginia club out there in Virginia and Hampton Roads. A couple weeks, I think SMB is going to come on. So if you are a member of a booster club, that is a phenomenal offer Jeff is making, and we'll be sure, Jeff, on our end to post that information out as well. Because every booster club needs a captain, right, Murph? You know what a captain is?
A captain, like with an F?
CAFTAN. They sell it on deadpiratesports.com. You know what a captain is, Murph?
I have no idea. Tell me.
I don't even know what it is either. Do you know what it is, Jeff?
I do. I think Murph would look really nice in a captain.
Murph, I think you'd rock.
I think we should get him a captain and one of the little hairband thingies, that you put your hair in, and some nail polish, silver and black nail polish.
The hell
Man, I'll tell you what.
I'm loving it. Yeah, I'd wear this. I'm looking at it. Yeah,
I'm going through the list. Jeff, you sell everything from newborn to freaking old person who needs to wear a caftan. You supply it. You supply everything.
Absolutely. And like I said, man, I've still got about 200 or 300 items to put up on there. And then plus now I'm negotiating some other contracts with some other of the vendors to get other things. I'm going to expand the pet part. The pet part is going to be full of stuff for your pets. I mean, pets are Raider fans too, man. They need gear. My two little chihuahuas, last little tub, man. Game day comes, they're geared up.
Jeff, I want to ask you something real quick. They say that people who go through something in life that either pushes them to the brink of their character or potential loss of life, they say that those people are often the most happiest and most joyful people afterwards, because they realize how precious this gift is. And so you mentioned earlier you had that potential heart attack that less than 1% people survive.
Right.
How has that changed you? Were you always like this, or is this? I mean, you seem like you're just a great guy, wanting to help out everybody. Has this always been your mantra, or did that heart attack have something to do with it?
It's always just been my demeanor. For some reason, how I grew up, being an Eagle Scout and all that stuff, and I think I was just born that way. I played in a rock band for years, and you get used to being in front of people and seeing people. You see the bad, you see the good, you see the ugly, of the whole genre. But I've kind of always been like this. But let me tell you what, man, when you when you have a Widowmaker heart attack, and I was out in Tucson, 110-degree weather, fixing the front of the house, and I was making mounds out there to put plants in and just make my home beautiful. I was, chugging back and forth hundreds of pounds of dirt, all this stuff, man. And it just said, "That's it, dude, you're done." And it put me down. And I got to tell you something funny. I was telling my wife, I woke her up at 1 o'clock in the morning, told her, "Kathy, I'm having a heart attack." I said, "You need to call 911. And this has been going on for an hour or so. I got a high tolerance for pain, but it was to the point where it's like something's going on. She picks up her phone. Who did she call? I'm standing there having a heart attack, and my phone rings. Come on.
At least you're the first person she calls.
Exactly. So that made me feel good. But no, let me tell you, after something like that, you kind of step back for a second, and you go, I really want to do something that I enjoy. I really want to do something that I can get involved with. And I had already started Dead Pirate Sports, and actually it started out as RaiderNationShop.com, but I had to change it because the Raiders own Raider Nation. So I had to change that, which was fine. I prepared for that, and it does. It makes you step back and just say, you know what? I'm 52 years old, not 54, by the way.
52, Murphy's 52.
52.
I know that.
All right, there we go.
That makes one of us, Sonny.
That's right. So, you just step back and you say, I want to do something I enjoy. And, Dead Pirate Sports has put me in contact with a lot of neat people. I mean, I talk to Grim Raider quite often. I've talked to Freak quite often. Black Widow, and I've done custom flash with those guys. Allison Raider out of Canada. I mean, you've seen, if you've seen my Facebook page, you've seen these people up there. It just makes you think. And then it steps another level. What more can I do? What more can I add? And then that comes to the booster clubs. These guys out there, that are working hard every day, and they're spending their own money to, make their booster club better. Why not help these guys save some cash? And then the next step I want to do is start a national, it's called the Dead Pirate Gang Junior, where all the booster clubs, their kids can get involved on a national level. And those kids can they can be a Dead Pirate Gang Junior, and they can go online, they can talk to each other. And this isn't developed right now. I haven't launched it yet. but those kids can talk to other kids, other Raider fans across the country that are their own age. I'll also have competitions for those kids to have little drill squads and things like that, and, coloring contests, just all kinds of fun, neat things to get the kids involved, because these kids nowadays, it's their faces in their phones. And if I can get them out of that phone for a little bit and get them talking to other Raider fans across the nation and to get them involved in doing something in their community, because all the booster clubs get out and they do fundraisers, things like that, but I want to see it on a kid's level. I want to see those kids get out and get involved in their communities and do something besides sit home with their thumb up their butt and their finger in their iPad. And so Dead Pirate Gang Jr. is going to be coming around the corner pretty soon, that all the kids can get involved with. I'm still a few months away from getting that launched. I was hoping I could do it by the first game, but there's just too much. So yeah, you take a different look after something like that happens, and you reevaluate your life and your family. And a lot of times you get to the point where you just say, damn, I just want to enjoy the rest of my life, because, I died for a couple seconds when they were putting the stent in my heart, and that could have been it right there. And just kind of makes you look at things a little differently.
Well, that's it's an inspiring story, and I'm not sure how much you've listened to our show, but we try to always focus on, yours isn't so much a redemption story, but it is a story of hope and positivity and encouragement and change and all that. And that stuff, we celebrate that incredibly here on Raiders Fan Radio. And the fact that you're doing a couple of things that you really just are jumping out at me here. The work that you're doing for kids. That to me that's incredible. That's the Lord's work right there, man. Anything that you can do to help, support and motivate, encourage kids, that's an incredible initiative. And so I applaud you for that. And then also, on the work that you do with the booster clubs, these folks, we often, again, comment on our show about, it's not just a bunch of folks getting together and, drinking beer and eating chicken wings and watching Raider football games. These are folks that are out there adopting highways. They're serving, meals to the homeless and the needy in their communities. They're taking up money to give, out to the less fortunate. They're doing whatever it may be. There's a litany of things that these booster clubs do, and the fact that you're, by setting something up for them, so our friends like Rocky and Israel at Space City or Richard Cervera at the Las Vegas Raider Nation. So these folks that you're talking about, they can set up and get a little bit of a break on some merchandise that essentially promotes their brand, and the more their brand is promoted, the more abilities they will have to go out there and do these service type projects. I think it's awesome, Jeff. And frankly, this is part of the interview I didn't expect us a path to go down. And man, I'm impressed. That's great stuff, Jeff. And I'm glad to hear that you had a servant's heart going into it, and no pun intended there. But but the fact that after what happened to you, and that you came out of it even more so, that's awesome stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I gotta say too, Jeff, I work with adolescents up here in Oregon who have like drug addiction issues or mental health issues, or adjudicated in prisons and stuff like that. And so hearing what you're intentionally wanting to do for them is pretty cool, because I agree. It's a different age now for youth. Like myself, I'm only 38, but I remember growing up without technology, just so immersive in my life. And now I know what it's like to live with technology. But for kids born in the last 15, 20 years, they've always had it. And you mentioned earlier how you were an Eagle Scout, and I got to think a lot of that time in your Eagle Scout years kind of helped shape who you become, right?
Yeah. It absolutely has. Just the things that you do. It teaches you to, not think about yourself, man. Think about the other people around you. And, and other people come first. You always, live your life. Number one's important, because, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. And, if you have it to give, you have the know-how and ideas, share those and help other people become more successful. And, it just makes us all much better, like Raider Nation as a whole. I ship stuff all over the world, man. And let me tell you what. The fans, even like in Sweden and France and Italy, and even the booster club in Shanghai, China, these guys are fired up, and they get out, they get involved, and they spend their own money. And a lot of these people don't have money to spend. So if I can help them out, man, I'm all for it. You know, and I always tell everybody, the booster clubs, you know, whatever you need, call me, get a hold of me. I will help you. I will find a way. Yeah, I mean, it's just important to me.
So speaking of giving stuff to people, you want to do a trivia contest, right, Jeff?
I do.
So why don't you explain how it's going to work?
All right, it's how this one. I'm going to ask you a question. You guys, you answer it, and you text me the answer. The first one to text the correct answer wins. You're going to win a $25 gift card to RaiderNationShop.com, and you're also going to receive a little gift bag inside that. It's got all kinds of crap. You know, I just take all kinds of stuff and throw it in there. It's got about $100 value on it, so and probably even more.
Can me and Murph enter the contest?
I was just going to say, are we eligible?
Absolutely, but you guys are going to cheat because the way
we're not going to post a show.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. All this for naught. But
no. All right. So we won't participate. So basically, you'll ask the question. You'll give out your phone number, and then whoever texts you, the first person to text you, right information, you'll ship them out the $25 gift card and gift bag. Is that correct?
Correct.
Awesome. All right. Well, why don't you go ahead with the first question there?
What Raider player was in the movie Behind the Green Door? Text your answer to 801-259-4165. Again, what Raider player was in the movie Behind the Green Door? Text your answer to 801-259-4165. There you go. Good luck.
How about Jeff going porn with the first question?
Hey, you just gave it away.
Shut up, Murph.
Was there another Behind the Green Door? And I only know this because our Uncle Louie.
Yeah. You only know it because of Uncle Louie. Sure.
Yeah, I thought that would be a fun one for everybody to do because,
It is pretty funny. I don't know what the answer is. Yeah, I'll have to look that one up.
And then you have one other question, right?
I do. How many touchdowns did Marshawn Lynch have in 2010? Fairly easy. How many touchdowns did Marshawn Lynch have in 2010?
Awesome.
Same phone number. Get the same thing. $25 gift card. The big old grab bag.
And again, that number is 801-259-4165. Again, it's 801-259-4165. The first question was, which player was in the movie Behind the Green Door? The second question was, how many touchdowns did Marshawn Lynch have in 2010? First person to text Jeff, the correct answer for both of those, receives a $25 gift card at deadpiratesports.com and a gift baggie rumored to be valued at $100. Also, in Murph, we're going to do another contest. We want you listeners, to call in the show. Murph, what's our number to call in?
909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346.
So we want you to call in this week and tell us why you love the Raiders. What is it about the Raiders, Raider Nation, the people, whatever? Why do you love the Raiders? And once we've accumulated enough calls, we'll go through it and at random pick a winner that will also get some merchandise from Jeff at deadpiratesports.com.
Absolutely. I'll do the same thing for that one if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. That'd be awesome. Finally, Jeff, I feel like we could talk to you for a long time, but I know you're probably a busy guy there, so I don't want to keep you on here forever. What something we always ask everybody who comes on the show, what's your message to Raider Nation? Right now it's kind of a weird time with the whole Vegas thing, and the team's finally good again, but then you got all this turmoil up in the air and stuff with the Vegas move, and all that kind of jazz. And so, we're all about love and supporting people and keeping a positive vibe and stuff like that. What's your message to Raider Nation as of right now?
Unite. It's very simple. Unite. Just like we always have, just like we always will. Stay united. Transitions, it sucks. Believe me, my heart's broken. We're moving from Oakland. It sucks, and it sucked when we moved from Oakland to L.A. And it sucked when we moved from L.A. to Oakland. And now we're going to move to Vegas. You know what? We're Raiders, man. We could play on the moon. If you're a true Raider fan, that's all right with you, man. Because being a Raider, being part of Raider Nation is more and bigger than just the team or the players or where we play. It's a way of life. You know, your commitment to excellence and all the things that Al Davis came up with all over those years. Those are the things that you have to implement in your life. And a lot of the new, a lot of the younger fans don't understand what we went through, us older guys. You know, we moved. Hey, we're still here, man.
Yep.
Just all I can say is unite. It's a business. Things are going to happen, and I understand that. And it hurts. It hurts us all. But the one thing that we need to do is unite. If you can't unite, go be a Packer fan, man. I don't know what to tell you. But that's who we are. Yeah, that's who we are. We're Raiders. We stay united no matter what, no matter where we play. We're always going to go to the games. You know, and let me tell you, going to Vegas, I've gone up there quite a few times with this, setting up this bar. I've gone up there and done pictures of the site. You know, I've visited with a lot of the different higher-ups there. And let me tell you, man, there's a lot of people out of L.A., out of San Diego, out of Salt Lake, out of Phoenix, out of Denver, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, that are fired up because that's close. It's close to them. Like for me, it's closer to me. And talking to some of these people, doing what I do at Dead Pirate, I get to talk to a lot of fans, and they're excited. They're also hurt. But they're Raiders, man, and that's all. It's just how it is. They'll get through it. It's like breaking up with an old girlfriend. It's just hurts for a little while. But you got to think of it too. It's that if you've been to a Raider game and you've been to the Coliseum, man, we're due. And seeing us come on like this, I mean, just the power.
That was a really nice way to put that, by the way.
Yeah, we're due, man. We are due. And overdue, yeah, believe me. Overdue. I don't even park in the parking lot, man. I park my car way far away and I walk.
Yeah, Fremont.
Yeah. Any game in Oakland, I walk or I take BART or I take a cab or something because parking in those parking lots, you're going to get a flat tire. But that's beside the point. But we're due. I mean, look at the last 10 years, and look at our fan base. No matter how bad we were. I mean, we were all parked in front of the TV, and it wasn't just during, game, but during the season. This is something we live by all year round. And I've had people say, well, why do you wear Raider gear, man? It's not even football season. But I tell them, it's because I'm a Raider. Mm-hmm. That's who I am. That's how I live my life. Most of the other teams don't get it. Most of the other fans don't get it. But anybody who's a true Raider fan, they understand, man. They know what it's like. That's just the thing. But my message to everybody out there listening is to unite, and that's what we need to do. And we got some exciting things coming up. I mean, look at the team, man. It's the strongest group of guys I have seen in a long, long time. Let me tell you, man. There's a lot of pieces in place right now that are just not even mentioned, that are just going to poke their head up just because of how, with Lynch now, that's going to open up so many things. And, Richard, the defense is going to open up. Mario Edwards has got another year under his belt. It's going to be exciting, man.
It's going to get good. It's just starting to get good,
Yeah. It'll gel. Now if we can get Penn in, I say pay the man. But that's just my opinion. Pay the man. Get him into camp. Let's just finish this up strong. Let's get I'd love to see a trophy in Oakland before they make the big move. That would be awesome.
Amen.
Just for the fan base, for everybody. But,
Amen,
yeah,
Jeff.
my message:
Amen.
Unite.
I love it. I love the. Yeah, it's just it. That's it. Let's get it. Let's get a trophy while we're there. Let's move to Vegas. We're due for a state-of-the-art stadium to go with what I believe is a state-of-the-art organization and one that's been trend-setting ever since they've been in existence. Jeff, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. Once again, deadpiratesports.com. I love, more so I love what you're doing for the Raiders. I love the spirit behind it. It just sounds like it's coming from a good place, and it's for your love for people. And man, that's so cool. So I appreciate you coming on the show. And
anytime, man, anytime.
All right, Raider Nation. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk soon.
You betcha. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, once again, appreciate Raider Jeff for coming on the show. Check out his website, deadpiratesports.com. He's on Twitter at RaiderFan33. Also on Facebook. There's 2 Facebook pages you can check him out at, Dead Pirate Sports, and then also Dead Pirate Sports AZ. Again, his contest is the following. Name the Raiders player who was in the movie Behind the Green Door. And the second one is how many touchdowns did Marshawn Lynch have in 2010? And the number to text your answer to is directly to Jeff, and that is at 801-259-4165. Murph, that was awesome. I love the aspect that we get basically an excuse to meet all these new and fun, engaging people through the podcast, right? You know, the guys last week out there in Virginia, Troy and Kenny, we just every week it seems like you're talking to different Raiders fans from all across the country who are using their fandom in unique and kind of really cool ways and stuff like that. And then Jeff was right along those lines. You know, suffered a heart attack several years ago, decided life needed to be lived more for, you know, what he enjoyed and was passionate about than anything else. And then Dead Pirate Sports has basically been taking off ever since. I like when an interview kind of goes in a direction that we really weren't planning on, right? We were planning on having him on, fandom, website, and basically getting him out, and it lasted quite a long time based on the content there and stuff. So that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that, and just really down-to-earth and cool kind of guy. Not to mention, Murph, is there anything you can't get on his website?
No, you can get, you can get a Raiders kimono, for crying out loud. You can get evening wear. Anytime you can get Raiders evening wear, I think you're in the right spot, right? But I mean, you can barbecue with your Raider tongs and drinking, you know, cool frosty adult beverages out of your Raider cooler while wearing your Raider kimono, and all that stuff you can get at deadpiratesports.com. We're excited about the partnership, and we're looking forward to knowing Jeff and having to be part of what we do here on Raider Fan Radio for a good long time. And, you know, it's like you said, it's really cool to meet fans that do things with their fandom and really, you know, try to elevate not only their hobby, but their passion for the Oakland Raiders. And we like to think that's what we do on Raiders Fan Radio with our show. And so anytime that we get to meet people like Jeff that do that with their hobby or their business, then it's pretty cool stuff, man. So yeah, that was great. And then, you know, we're all about a good story too, you know, and any story of overcoming, you know, we've had some pretty inspiring tales on this show since we've been doing it, whether that be, you know, from Pastor Armando Leon telling stories of praying in the black hole with Roger Goodell, or a guy like Ted Nguyen who had to have a pretty severe surgery as a preemptive strike against cancer, and the things that he had to overcome with to deal with that, to now Raider Jeff and his you know, he didn't get into the details of overcoming about what he physically had to do, but when you have one of those widowmaker heart attacks, yes, you're in a very small single-digit percentage of people that live to tell about it. And so the fact that he's taken that as a motivating tool to grow and to take his, you know, business and his fandom to the next level. I mean, I love this stuff, because here's what's so cool about meeting these folks and talking to these folks is that it gets down to the humanity of it. And, you know, there's so much of it in Raider land that's, you lose the humanity of it because everybody's just so pissed off about where they're going to play, or, you know what I mean, or whatever the win-loss records are and all that. And at the end of the day, not only are the players human beings that sometimes we often forget about, especially when you talk about things like people getting cut and losing their jobs, but also as fans. You know what I mean? It's so easy to lash out in these Twitter battles and all this stuff, these periscopes and all this stuff that goes back and forth between fans. And at the end of it, sometimes, or in the middle of it, I should say, sometimes you kind of forget that there's another human on the other side of that. It's another person that's got, you know what I mean? That's a living, breathing human being with feelings and of life and things that go way, way beyond Raider football. And so when we get a chance to kind of tap into that and explore that a little bit, especially when it happens unknowingly or an unplanned type thing, I think it's great, man. So that was just a pleasure to have Jeff on the show, and we'll definitely have him back on again soon.
Again, Jeff Haskins at RaiderFan33 on Twitter. DeadPirateSports.com is his website for all your Raider needs. Exclusively, if you are in a booster club. One thing we do on Raiders Fan Radio is we try to talk to the booster clubs around the country, whether it's in Houston for a playoff game, in Vegas when the deal goes down, the game in D.C. We just had Northern Virginia and the Hampton Roads Club on last week, getting ready to interview S&B Club coming up. So if you're a booster club, I want to reiterate what Jeff said. He's all about helping out you. He's not in this to make money. He's in this to help out people, especially those people who are busting their butt in those booster clubs. He's done some work for Bourne up there in Oregon already. He's done some stuff for Space City down there in Houston already. So if you are in a booster club, get a hold of Jeff. Send him an email. Get a hold of him through his website. He wants to work with you. He can do custom designs for your booster club. So if you want your flag, banner, shirts, whatever, go through Jeff. And he's not paying us to say this, nothing like that. You listened to him. You heard him. He stated, I will give you a huge discount. And why not have a Raiders fan making up all of your Raiders gear? I mean, it just makes sense, right? It's kind of a quid pro quo there and stuff, you know? So really cool guy. Appreciate him coming on. And hopefully we'll have some stuff to pass out and give away in the future as well. I think at the Titans game, might have some stuff to give away there when we go out there. Also, because he was just on the show, he's going to give us something else to pass out. So in addition to his trivia questions, he also gave us another $25 gift card and another gift bag for us to do our own little swag promo giveaway. So we're going to announce it right now. Call in this week to our hotline. Sometimes it's a slow line. Other times it's a cold line. Call into the number. It's 909-345-3346. Again, that is 909-345-3346. And tell us why you love the Raiders. It could be, it was the first jersey I ever owned. Been going to games since I was 3. Dad turned me on to them. Whatever it is, call into the number, 909-345-3346. Let us know why you were a Raiders fan. And once we get calls, should we make a cutoff date, Murph? Like maybe what, next Thursday or next Friday or so, or what?
Yeah. Let's say we'll run it 2 shows.
Okay, so we'll do a 2-week duration. And then once those shows are in, then we'll kind of pick at random. And we'll go ahead and send you out a $25 gift card to deadpiratesports.com. And we'll also send you out a gift bag as well, courtesy of deadpiratesports.com, which I think, what do you say? It's worth over $100 in merchandise and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah. He's got a bunch of cool swag in there. And, hey, and a $25 gift card to Dead Pirate Sports. Like, you can get a bunch of stuff. Like, he's got killer prices on this stuff. So, and again, we're not getting paid to say this, you guys. So check out the website. Check out Jeff's stuff, man. It's legit. It's cool stuff. And we're thankful for not only to him to come on and do the show, but to give us the swag to give away and to help. He did a cool thing for us, and so we're just trying to return the favor by directing a little bit of traffic back towards him. So check out his website, man. It's good stuff.
Good stuff for sure. All right, Murph. After the break, we'll talk about Donald Penn holding out.
Hey, just one time, I need it.
Raiders Fan Radio.
Donald Penn. Donald Penn.
Donald.
The Donald. I don't know. I don't know how I feel, Murph. I'm torn. When this first came out, so what's going on is basically Donald Penn is holding out for a contract upgrade. Not so much an extension. He essentially wants to be paid more. He's 34 years old, been in the league 11 years. He's on the tail end of his career. This is the last year of his contract with the Raiders. He signed an extension, what was it, last year, I believe, a 2-year extension. He wants more money. And to a certain degree, he should get more money. He's one of the best left tackles in the game. He gave up 1 sack last year. Unfortunately, it was the sack that destroyed the team. But I don't think what happened on the sack, that's irrelevant, right? Like, it doesn't matter that it was the one that hurt Carr. That was a fluke thing. The dude gave up 1 sack all year playing left tackle going against everybody else's best pass rusher. So it's not, you can't knock the guy. He's a stud, right? The problem, though, is he's 34. He's on the tail end of his career. He's already making more money this coming year than he's ever made in his career, except for 1 year in Tampa Bay. In 2011, he made 7.2 as a base. As a guaranteed money, he was making 7.2 in 2011. This year coming up, he's making 5.8 as his base. So only one other year in the history of his playing career has he made more money than he's going to be making now. If this year were to play out like normal, he would have made a total of $41 million guaranteed over the lifespan of his career, and $53 million with all the bonuses and incentives and stuff like that. As it currently breaks down, if I'm reading this right, according to overthecap.com, his base right now is 5.8 Murph, $600,000 bonus for working out, which he's already losing a little bit of it, and then a $750,000 bonus, which just says other. So who knows what that is for? So I get the sense, I understand where he's coming from in regards to wanting more money. He's playing at an elite level, regardless of his age. He's playing at an elite level. I think he's one of the best left tackles in the game. He's not getting paid like one of the best left tackles in the game. But what questions me, or I guess what I question, is the timing of it. Sources said as soon as Carr's contract was in, Donald Penn's agent called the Raiders right afterwards and made this, request for more money. I don't like that he's holding out from camp because of it, because it's almost just like there's been so much hype, right, for the Raiders for the past basically 7 months. Ever since Carr went down, it was a big question mark on last season, a big asterisk. Oh, it could have been. So there's been all this Pollyanna talk about how great this season's going to be. It's going to be awesome, going to be great, yada, yada, yada. And this is like besides Conley, which is a little bit of ruffling the feathers, this is kind of a big deal. I mean, if we lose Donald Penn, or for whatever reason they can't work this out, for some reason he don't play, who's back? Who's on that left side? Who's guarding Derek Carr's blind side, right? So this is the first little hiccup in what should be a magical season, what we're all hoping for, right? So I'm kind of mad that he's holding out because it's ruining the everything's perfect moment. But at the same time, he is playing out of his mind. And is it his right to demand a raise? I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Murph?
Well, I don't know. This is a funky one because you're right that he is, quote, underpaid. But this is the tough part of being a fan when you're talking about analyzing the behavior of a multi-million-dollar athlete. So you're talking about a guy that's 34 years old. He's made, 50 some odd $50 million in his career. And we're evaluating from a distance whether he's in the right or is he fairly asking for more money. Well, as a guy who goes to work every single day and earns a living, the concept of $53 million, heck, even if you only take home half of that, the idea that you've taken home $26.5 million in your career, I'm like, shut up. Go to camp. You know what I mean, you idiot? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to not think in those terms, but I get it, though, that the NFL is a business, and I get that there are, it's not real, it's play money. It's the super hyper elite. Like, it's which is why we're fascinated with it, which is why in our free time we do podcasts about football, is that because it's just this, it's this crazy reality of or lack thereof, you know? So it's hard. So from that aspect of it, I don't get it. But in fairness to where he is based on the others that share his position and their performance, yeah, he's underpaid. So I'm with you, though, on the timing of it. I think the timing is horrendous. And I think that, you know, if his agent called up to, you know, voice a displeasure as far as how they're getting paid, I'm sure the response from Reggie or somebody in that camp was no. And so now they're basically calling his bluff to see whether he's gonna show up or not. So one way or the other, it adds a little bit of dysfunction to what's gone on to the team, and you would hope that something like this doesn't affect the chemistry or be the quote distraction, which is probably a little bit overused of a term. But you know, Derek Carr's already getting asked about it today, and you know, and he says, I'm not going to put my hand in another man's pocket, and it's not up to him to comment on it. And I think that's the right response from your quarterback. But the fact that he's even got to address it now, it's like, come on, man. Like, come on, Donald, don't you know what you're doing here? So it's kind of funky. So you kind of can see both sides of it. Here's ultimately what it's not my money to speak for, but if I'm Reggie McKenzie and I see that this thing is just starting to fester a little bit, there's a couple of schools of thought. One is that you want to just say, all right, look, just get the guy a couple extra $1 million a year, call it a day. He's only going to play for another year or two anyways. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get him paid, get him happy, and let's move on. But then also, though, you set a precedent. And that's the thing I think that where this is going to get ugly is that if you do that, if you concede that to Penn and you give him the money, then now you're going to have freaking 52 other players standing in line going, well, all right, well, I want a new contract too. And so I think that ultimately Reggie has got to draw the hard line, that he's got to, you know, they're going to, as of tomorrow, start preparing for life without Donald Penn. And that will be Marshall Newhouse. That will be, you know, what's the rookie's name from Florida? David Hyde or whatever his name is, right?
David Sharp.
David Sharp. There you go. So they're going to start, you know, preparing for life without him. And, you know, look, that it's a business. And I think that no matter what, Reggie McKenzie has got to be, you have to hold for the long term, not the short term. You when you make short term decisions in the NFL, it usually ends up costing you your job. Like, I mean, it's just, you know, unless you're John Elway and you get a 5-year extension. I mean, for the most part, you know, when you make those short-sighted decisions that cost your team more so in the future, that it ends up you're not working out. So I think that Reggie's got to hold the line now. But then there's one other aspect of this though that I would like to cover. I have an inherent problem with players that sign contracts and then right away start complaining about it. So you just said he re-upped last year, right? 2016, he signed a 2-year extension. And then he's bitching, and we're, you know, barely over halfway through 2017. Most recently, and this is fresh in our minds because if you listen to our show with any kind of regularity, you know that we went down the path of the fattest guys to ever score touchdowns here a couple of shows ago. And that was all, the genesis of all that was an interview that Donald Penn did on NFL Network's Total Access. Well, I even referenced in that show that Penn said in that interview that he was only playing to get a Super Bowl, that it, quote, wasn't about the money. And so I went ahead and pulled some audio from that interview, and Sonny, I've got it for you right here. So now if you got any questions to whether this is actually Donald Penn or not, just give it a listen because he only mentions himself in the third person about 97 times. So there ain't no doubt who this is. And so here we go.
When is the audio from again?
From NFL.com's Total Access TV show from last month. So this is just a month ago.
Okay.
Man, Donald Penn's a Super Bowl because Donald Penn's not going to be playing too many more years. So Donald Penn's trying to get a Super Bowl before Donald Penn's done. And, you know, that's why I played this game. That's why I am still playing. You know, I'm not playing for money or anything like that. I'm playing to win the Super Bowl. That's the main reason why I'm doing this.
Did you hear that?
Okay, first of all, when you refer to yourself in the third person at least once during a conversation with me, I'm like, what the hell's the matter with this guy? How many times did he refer to himself as Donald Penn? Play that again. Let's count.
Man, Donald Penn's a Super Bowl because Donald Penn's not going to be playing too many more years. So Donald Penn's trying to get a Super Bowl before Donald Penn's done. And, that's why I played this game. That's why I am still playing. I'm not playing for money or anything like that. I'm playing to win the Super Bowl. That's the main reason why I'm doing this.
I got 4. What'd you get?
I got 4. Okay. I got 4 on the scoreboard. I got as many sacks as Austin Howard allowed last year. I'm sorry. Fresh wounds. Sorry. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so he refers to himself 4 times in the third person and says clearly that he's not in it for the money. And so I went a little Zapruder film on this just to make sure I heard him right. Here's what we got.
I'm not playing for money or anything like that.
Okay, I'm not playing for money or anything like that. Just to make sure that was Donald Penn, I went ahead and slowed it down a little bit.
I'm not playing for money or anything like that.
And I think that's Donald Penn, but I went ahead and did it a little bit more just to make sure.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not playing for money.
Just to make sure.
I'm not playing for money.
Is that?
I'm not playing
Sounds
for
like
money.
Tron. Sounds like Tron.
He's not playing for money, Sonny. Just to let you know. Idiot. Get your ass in camp, big man. Let's go. Let's win a championship.
So then here's the question. Is he blowing smoke on those interviews? Or did Derek Carr's tremendous contract followed by Gabe Jackson's tremendous contract all of a sudden tell Donald Penn, hey, I could get maybe $2 more million? Because that's really what we're talking about, right? When you look at Donald Penn stated he wants to be in the top 10, right? He wants to be in the top 10 of salaries for left tackles. So according to overthecap.com, great website, by the way, the left tackles salary cap values, the 10th guy on the list is Andrew Whitworth from the Rams. He's making about $9.1 million. Well, Donald Penn isn't too far down the list. He's 15th at 7.1 when you add in all his incentives. So essentially, he's asking for about a maybe $2.5, $3 million raise for this year. Now, I guess the question is, do you think, Murph, he's worth that? We just got rid of Howard, just got rid of Tywan Jones. We have the room, we have the cap room to give him $3 million. Is it worth it to give him that? But then do you run the risk of anybody else saying, well, what about my contract? What about my contract? What about my contract?
That's it. That's it.
I mean,
that's ultimately what it is that you cannot set the precedent because Reggie and the front office has an entire football team to run. And when you have one guy make it about himself, I mean, and seriously, it's not like the guy's not gotten paid in his career. You're not talking about, this isn't a guy that's wanting to, get out of his first contract or trying to negotiate down to his first big, he's made plenty of freaking money. And again, who am I to say that he's made plenty? But the point is, though, it's not like, he's trying to get that one payday here. This is the guy at the end of his friggin' career that just renegotiated. I think it's out of line, man. I think that the more that we're talking about it and I'm thinking about it, it's like, you know what? Get into camp, dude. There are bigger fish to fry right now than your freaking couple $1 million. Now, there is one other angle that I've heard floated out there that is interesting, and that is this his way of getting out of camp? Now, look, you're an older guy. We know what camp does to the aging. Are you
saying he's a fat guy and doesn't want to run in the heat? Is that what you're getting at?
I'm just saying that listen, he wouldn't be the first older guy that, had a disinterest in showing up for training camp because it's pretty brutal on those guys. And so, look, and if that's the case, if this is just his way of, maybe sliding out of camp for a week or so or more or whatever, okay, fair enough. I mean, he's kind of earned that, after his year last year. But I don't know. One way or the other, I think this thing has got to get put to bed quickly because again, I think distraction is an overused term, but I think for the continuity and for the way that an offensive line has to gel, man. They've got to have time together. And in the interest
these guys have already gelled. I think it's a matter of, it's like when you have a
coach. Yeah, but if it's not going to be him, they got to get somebody else. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
But if it's not going to be him, if it's going to be freaking Marshall Newhouse, right? Then
it'll be Newhouse or Sharp, won't it?
You would think so.
I mean, David Sharp's on the depth chart list, according to ourlads.com.
Well, and Newhouse plays right side. Newhouse is your replacement for Austin Howard. So, Yeah, I think that it's got to. You're talking about looking to see what the rookies got. I mean, I don't think
wouldn't that suck, dude, to go into this season and have two rookies starting on both ends of the offensive line.
I think Penn. I think they call his bluff, and he'll come back. He'll be back. I don't think he gets a look. I don't think Reggie is too shrewd of an individual. He's not going to give this guy a contract. He's not going to do it. I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see it due to the precedents that would set. I just don't see it. And who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe you do it as a one-time shot, and you let every agent know, look, we're going to do this for Don, but that's it. We're not doing it for your guy. I don't know. Will that fly even? I don't know. But I don't know. It ain't pretty. No matter what, this ain't pretty. This is old Raider stuff.
It's ugly.
This is the kind of crap that we just got done doing for the last 13 years, and I thought we had crawled out of that pit finally. And here goes freaking old DP, because it isn't about the money, right? Showing his ass or not showing his ass anyways.
Well,
on week one.
Could be a side chick didn't he have a baby with a side chick or something like that?
Yeah, you're trying to get paid twice. Yeah,
maybe she's asking for a payday or something like that.
Unbelievable.
I don't like it. Whether or not he deserves the money, I mean, obviously he deserves to be paid in the top 10 if he's playing in the top 10. But you agreed to work for something and do it. And now there's been a lot of back and forth right on Twitter. People having a strong stance both ways, right? The team. There's no loyalty from the team standpoint. You could agree to a contract for 5 years and they could cut you, right? So there's no loyalty on the team side. So the pro player sides are saying, look, man, players got to get what they can because the team can cut you right off the bat. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say that. It's a Dennis Allen thing. After this all shakes out, I think this just looks bad on Penn, and I don't like it. I know Hudson was asked to comment about it. He said it'll get worked out. Derek Carr was asked to comment on it. He said he doesn't talk about another player's money. We'll put his hand in other players' pockets. But, he's sitting there with $125 million, so he can say whatever he wants to say.
Yeah, but you know what, though, too? That he's if anybody has exuded, selflessness in the way that they structured their contract, it was Derek Carr, right? So then that's the thing that gets me about all this is that you got all these guys making these solid contracts that are good. Look, they're getting paid. They're no doubt, but they're team friendly. And then you got this guy is freaking holding out. It's like it completely goes counter to all the momentum, all the positivity that is happening for this team in the offseason. So it's a bad look.
I think, and we'll end it on this. I think he nailed it on the head, Murph. He's a fat guy not wanting to run in that hot California sun.
You're listening to Raiders Fan Radio with Sonny and Murf, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans.
Camp is here. The camp is here, Murph. You ever heard of that? Camp is here. Camp, we're here. We've arrived. Last few shows we've been doing, we're surfing the internet for material to talk about, but we made it through. The doldrums are over. Something is happening. Game of Thrones is restarted. Camp is finally here again, and there's good things happening. Fall is right around the corner. This hot sun will go away. But, Murph, some people aren't as excited about camp. Go ahead and play that audio.
You guys are asking a lot of questions about what have we seen from this guy, what have we seen from that guy. We've yet to put on pads. I know everybody's all excited when a guy catches a pass.
Old Captain Charisma there. This isn't Patriots fan radio, but you know what? Listen,
he's already mid-season form. He's mid-season form.
If you can't get a kick out of Bill Belichick, you got no heart.
So, he makes a great point. Everybody's stoked. We all just want to see something, right? Just give us something. Give us Marshawn Lynch and Khalil Mack fighting on the field together and stuff, right? We're all just dying for something, but nothing's happened yet. We haven't seen anything yet, right? They just took the field a couple days ago. Cars returning punts, goofing off. We haven't seen any pads hit yet and stuff. So, let's not get too excited, but it's nice that camp is here. And I believe we have some breakdown of the interviews that Derek Carr made along with Del Rio. And Murph, why don't you lead us off with those?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. Jack and Derek both had press conferences today after the first official day, which, first off, let me say this. You'd think Derek Carr could afford sleeves with $125 million. Sun's out, guns out.
Sun's out, guns out, bro.
I'm telling you, man, he is Captain Sleeveless. There is no doubt. But yeah,
does it distract you during his interviews? Is that why you brought that up?
Do what now?
Does it distract you during his interviews? Is that why you brought that up?
Oh yeah, bro, absolutely. We need to get him in one of those. What is that thing? What would you call it? The Cardiff?
Captain.
The Chaffers? What is it?
Caftan. CAFTAN.
Caftans. Yeah, we need to get old Carr in a caftan, man. Yeah. Shirtless in a caftan. I'd watch all the interviews then. That took a weird turn, didn't it?
It always does.
All right. So, it's funny that, and my family told me the other day, I was talking to them about the show, and they said, man, you guys just go on and on about Derek Carr all the time. And now here we are talking about him.
Have you looked at him lately?
His sleeveless, well-defined triceps. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right.
2/3 of the arm tricep makes up 2/3 of the arm.
There you go. All right.
Don't
Where were we at?
down.
I'm all afluster now.
I was blinded by eyelashes. Talking about the press conference and Derek Carr showing up and all that kind of stuff.
All right. So Jack Del Rio and Derek Carr had their press conferences today to talk a little bit about training camp. And, Jack's portion of it was very much what you would expect it would be. It was very coach speak. There's a lot of, we're going to get better every day. We're going to work hard. We're going to focus on the here and now and all that kind of stuff. Very, very typical Belichickian type comments, from Captain Jack. But there was a couple of things that I thought were fun. Number one, he talked about the Vegas issue. They asked him about, what it was going to be like and what that meant to the team and things like that. And that's basically when he said that, as of right now, they're the Oakland Raiders. And he kind of went on and mentioned something funny about the NFL season and about how it felt like dog years.
We'll be the Oakland Raiders this year. And we worry about, I talk all the time with people that want to talk about it. I say an NFL season is almost like how you look at dog years, it's like just add 7 to it. So we're going there in like 21 years. So
pretty good quote from Coach there. Yeah, he feels like they're going to Vegas in 21 years. And Sonny, doesn't it really? I mean, kind of build on that a little bit. Don't you think? Doesn't it feel like it's a long ways away? I mean, I know that the third-year option is hanging out there and all that, but I mean, they're going to be the Oakland Raiders for at a minimum 2 more years. Like, that's still quite a while. We got this team here,
2 more years, over 720 days. Like, let's not even. Once the season starts, Murph, let's not even talk about it no more, right? Like last year when all the stuff was going down, we waited till the end of the season to even talk about it. I say we make that stance again. Once the season starts, once preseason starts, even starting right now or whatever, let's not even talk about Vegas because the players aren't, coaches isn't, and why should we, right? It's nothing to worry about. There was a JPA meeting last couple days ago. Forever Oakland's trying to sue the city or trying to sue the NFL. Like, there's a bunch of stuff happening with it. But really, I just care about the Raiders. I just care about what their rating is on Madden. I just care about how they do on the field. And I just care about them beating the Patriots in Mexico and then again in the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl. So let's just focus on that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what Del Rio's point was. It's like, look, man, NFL seasons are long. They're grueling. There's enough to worry about in each game, in each season. We don't need to worry about the Vegas stuff. And so I like it. And I wouldn't expect him to say anything else. That's what you expect him to say.
Well, that sounds like a deal, and we'll virtually shake hands over Skype. Deal. No more Vegas talk until maybe the offseason. Okay, so next up, very, very off-season type quote from the coach that they hadn't even gotten into pads yet. Specifically, that's not a term. Specifically, when asked about Obi Melifonwu.
He's a talented young player. I think he's a really good addition to our football team. And, he's serious, he's smart, and he's willing to work. And that's the initial impression. And then, we haven't even put the pads on yet.
Haven't even put the pads on yet, but the kid looks good. I'm excited about Obi, man. I think he's going to be a super, super fun part of our defense, and we're going to get into more of this later, and especially in a couple weeks when we get Ted Wynn back on. We're going to talk to him a lot about Obi's role in this defense, but haven't got the pads on yet, but I think it's cool. Not only number one, he signed, and two, that coaches at least encouraged to buy him early.
Is it Dan Patrick who always talks about, he has a high motor, real great motivator, and comes to play every day? Is that Patrick who mocks that?
Yeah.
That's what that sounded like. It's like, okay, he's tall, he's strong. Okay, let's see what happens and stuff like that. But again, I think Del Rio's taking the stance of Belichick. The fans are more excited about Camp than anything else, and time will tell. And we're definitely excited, but time will tell.
So, speaking of that, yes, we are very excited. Everybody has high expectations for this football team. Everybody from us fans, obviously, but also in the media. People in all kinds of different football circles are talking about the Raiders and, this team winning the division, this team winning playoff games, and being a Super Bowl contender, being the team that could, potentially, as we feel, knock off the New England Patriots. So, next up after Coach was Derek Carr, and he addressed that, and I thought he made a very, very significant point when addressing the expectations of this football team in 2017.
I will say this, it's always nice for people to say good things. That's always nice. You always want people saying good things around this time. But also we know that that's only because of what happened last year, and that's not even this team. So we know that what we need to do better. Like I said, I've said it before many times leading up to camp. We didn't even beat Kansas City twice last year, so I don't know why everyone's so excited.
I freaking love that he brought up Kansas City. Don't you? I mean, the fact that he brought that up, I think, was huge because we haven't beat Kansas City, and that should be the focus. Everybody wants to crown the Raiders as the new darlings of the NFL. They're the Patriot beaters. They're the AFC champs before the season even starts. But Carr brought it down, and he should because he, I think, is 1-4 against the Chiefs since he's been here. And so I love the fact that he broke it down to that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we didn't beat him in 2016. We hadn't beat him in 2016 or 2015. Like we talked about Marcus Peters and his comments about the Raiders. It's because he's never lost to them. So when you keep it, when you look at it in that context, we've gotten, and not only have we not beaten them, but we've gotten smoked. You know what I mean?
Well, the first game this last year was close. Remember, the second game got smoked.
Yeah, well, okay, and I think when you look at it as an overall, when you think about, remember Carr throwing that pick six at the end of the game, there's been some rough losses, man, to the Chiefs, and so I think that's what and you know what I like? I like that he is so aware of it. It's not even so much that he's trying to temper the expectations, is that he's hyper aware that, look, we hadn't even beat the team that won the division, So, you know what I mean? I like it. Yeah. I like that. He's not buying into any of the hype, nor should he. And you wouldn't expect anything different from him. But to hear it vocalized like that, I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing.
Calm it down, man. Calm it down. And that's what a good leader should do, is make it even keel and stuff. That's good.
So, in reference to the Kansas City Chiefs, often overlooked until maybe recently, now starting to rekindle a little bit, is that rivalry between the Chiefs and the Raiders. And, it's, if you look at NFL history, I mean, it was one of the most, heated rivalries in sports. I mean, it was up there with Bears, Packers, and, with a handful of, it was a great rivalry. Of course, it fell off over the past however many years because at times that the Raiders weren't good, the Chiefs were, and vice versa. But now that they're both starting to heat up, it's starting to become a nice rivalry again. And those old school Raider players that participated in that and helped form those rivalries, they spent a lot of time at the facility, and especially during training camp. And so anyway, Derek Carr was asked about having, quote, the old guys around, and what he thought about that and about the legacy that the Raiders had in those guys.
Those things that bring it all to life, man. This organization, along with a couple others, the tradition, there's nothing like. There's about 3 or 4 of them that there's really nothing like the tradition that some of these organizations have, and this is one of them. So when they come back, you want to soak it all in. Like I said, we get Willie and Coach Woodson every day, but there's a few guys that show up that you don't see every day. I see Daryl LaMonica, obviously he's a Fresno Clovis guy, and So I see him a lot. So, but he's always joking with me. Now, don't break all the records, stuff like that. So it's just fun to be around those guys. It really is. Because someday I'm gonna be that old guy that hopefully some young guy will want to talk to me.
Murph, they are one of the franchise. They are one of the elite franchises, man. And there's no way around it. They're ran now by two of the guys who might have the most freckles of any owner and GM in the league. You ever notice that? Davis and McKenzie might have the most freckles of any duo. We should do a contest and look it up. But they are. They're one of the epitome of the franchises, which is why the fan base is so rabid, which is why we'll do a podcast all summer, never take a week off, which is why it's Raider Nation, which is why people are so passionate about the move to the name we shouldn't name anymore. And it's why we got so pissed when they were losing for freaking all those years, right? And so he's right. It is an iconic franchise. It is a once in, always in, blood in, blood out kind of thing, with the Raiders, unless your name's Marcus Allen. And so he's right. And man, that's freaking cool. I seen today, like, the season ticket holders were there. A lot of the old timers were there and stuff like that. And so for a young guy coming up like Obi or just drafted into the Raiders, like Elijah Hood and those guys, that's got to be pretty cool, man, to see just the old timers hanging out, playing for the Raiders. The mystique is there and stuff. Like, that's got to be a cool feeling, man, be a player.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's one of the things that the Raiders do better than any of the other teams. And that I may be stepping out a little bit there, but, what am I going to do? I'm a Raider fan. I think they do better than anybody. They respect the legacy of the organization and the men that were behind that legacy. As much as Al is celebrated and as much as Al is, responsible and recognized for, the mystique of the Raiders and the marketing of the Raiders and the overall, feel and vibe of the Raiders and its environment. But those men and those players and coaches and front office people, because and you count them all. Amy Trask is part of that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Tom Flores, John Matt. Al Locasal, man. we could go on and on from people from, that goes far beyond the Ben Davidsons and Kenny Stablers and Matuzaks and Hendricks and all the great Raider greats on the field. But the legacy of the Raiders as an organization, I think they pay homage to those that got them there better than anybody. And, it's just such a cool thing. And because they don't shy away from it and because they embrace it the way that they do, when they bring these guys back, it just adds a level of, obviously, when you hear Derek Carr's words, it's such a respect. And I think that's a great motivator. When you have, and Carr talked about this more later in his press conference, Charles Woodson was there, and he talked about when he was growing up, he watched Charles Woodson play, and he would emulate Charles Woodson. And then he got to play with Charles Woodson, and he got to see him firsthand, and he became even more of a fan. Well, don't you know that to a guy like Obi Melifonwu and Gary and Conley or Carl Joseph or any of these young defensive backs, you got freaking Charles Woodson there? You don't think that does something to them, to their psyche, to motivate them? And not to mention you're coached by Rod Woodson, for crying out loud. But just I just can't imagine what that would do. It would be like you and me, going to a camp and being coached or to something attended by Stabler and getting something, one-on-one, or Howie Long or Todd Christensen or Dave Casper or what. Like, I think it's awesome, man. I just think it's so cool that the Raiders do this. And I know we as Raider fans celebrate it. I don't know how much it's celebrated outside of the Raiders organization and our fandom, because I don't know, you don't ever see this stuff on NFL Network and stuff, but I just think it's really neat. It's one of the things that I've loved about the Raiders. I've loved about Al Davis, that he did that, to recognize and to always celebrate his former athletes or personnel. And I love the fact that now his son, Mark, is doing the exact same thing, bringing those folks back and letting them be an influencer on the Raiders going forward.
It'd be like us getting to do a podcast with Dan Patrick.
Oh, my gosh. Or Jim Rome, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. And I think it's just a partnership and the legacy that the Raiders bring, and then the mystique that's there and stuff. And I think it's kind of funny that LaMonica is still hanging around. You don't always hear about LaMonica, the Mad Bomber. You always hear about Stabler and Flores, and all those guys, and Plunkett. That's what I was thinking of instead of Flores. You always hear about those guys, but you never hear about LaMonica. And I don't know if that's because it was so long ago, but I think that's cool that he's still around and he tells Carr, don't break all the records. Because if Carr keeps going, he could have all the records. Time will tell on that. That'll be kind of cool. But, it's just another reason why the Raiders are different than any other franchise in all the sports.
Jim Rome, star of the Jim Rome Show. Let's go to Nashville.
Let's go to Oregon.
Josh in Nashville.
Sonny in Oregon.
You made it in, Josh. How are you?
Jim, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Good, Jim.
Rock him, Sonny.
Yes, you're listening to the only Raiders podcast where both hosts have successfully called in to the Jim Rome Show, but only one host got racked.
Damn it. Good job. Good job by you. Good job by you. Yes, you did. You got racked, and I didn't get racked. I got Jim's response to my call.
You didn't get run, did you?
No. Okay. I made it through without getting run, and I actually ward that at the end. I actually ward me not flaming out because I was so dang nervous. But I did get he was just started responding to my call, and Brady Quinn got traded.
Oh no.
Yeah, It was like breaking news about Brady Quinn. Out of all the people that Murph has gotten upstaged by, freaking Brady Quinn. Ugh.
That's another reason why we hate Brady Quinn. Taiwan Jones, Austin Howard both got cut. It was done kind of at a weird time. Normally, it's not done at this time. People think it was done at this time so they can try to maybe, get on a different team and stuff like that. Taiwan Jones, been with the team since 2011. One of kind of Al's last ones, if you will, that he kind of handpicked. It always seemed like Taiwan Jones, there was always more hype about him than what actually took place on the field. Career stats, 44 rushes, 183 yards. Nothing to write home about. 17 receptions, 240 yards. He was going to be a running back. Then he was going to be a cornerback. Then he was. I think, ended up on special teams for a while. So he just kind of never took off. Do you think there's any rhyme or reason for that, Murph? Like, remember, it was just always he was always there, but just nothing ever really happened with him.
Well, I think he was drafted because he was such an amazing, is such an amazing athlete. And I always felt like, he was behind Darren McFadden right in the beginning. So there really wasn't, and if you think about it, it was McFadden, and we had Marcel Reese, and we had we had some pretty awesome running backs at that time. There wasn't really a need for him at that. And then they moved him to corner, right? And I felt like they moved him to corner because we played corner in like high school or something, but I always felt like they were just keeping him on the roster because he was such a great special teams player that, he was one of those gunners, man. He was so fast. And, that's why you and I always loved him, because he was awesome in Madden, right? He was such a fast player in Madden.
That's what I'm most disappointed about. Is I can't.
Yeah, because you're not going to have him in Madden to play. But, and then they moved him back to running back. And again, I felt like it was always a way to kind of keep him on the roster without worrying about playing him with any kind of regularity, because I felt like other than catching like a screen pass and taking off with it now and then or whatever, like he just really never developed as a down to down player on either offense or defense. In fact, I don't even remember playing a much corner at all when he was on defense, but he did get a few looks at running back. But anyways, I just think that he's just some guys, like, you can have all the physical talents in the world and have all the speed and all that, but it just doesn't translate to, to football skills necessarily. And, he was a pretty good special teams player, but I think he is a casualty of the Raiders having so many options at running back. When you have, You know,
Yeah,
you got,
that's true.
I mean, let's count them off. We got Marshawn, then you got Jalen Richard, and you got DeAndre Washington, right? Those are like you're going to be our
Elijah Hood, yeah.
Right? Well, but those first three guys, they're going to get all of the lion's share of playing time. Like, that's it. You got three guys on the how often do you go more than 3 deep on your depth chart to begin with? And then, then you add Elijah Hood in, and then Jameis Olawale, who is, you know, he's like our new version of Marcel Reese, right? Like, he's fast. He can catch the ball. He's a versatile player. He's a matchup nightmare. Like, we went from loving 45, and now we're going to learn to love 49, too. I mean, he's a pretty good player. So he's not going anywhere. And now if they want Elijah Hood on the roster, you know, Taiwan Jones has got to go. I mean, you got a draft pick invested in Elijah Hood. He's another fast guy. You know, if he can play on special teams, he kind of takes that role away from Taiwan Jones. So, you know, I feel for the kid because, I mean, again, we've always liked him because of Madden, but even aside from that, he's a good guy. He's a good kid. He's a good character guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just someone that's always been good on the team, and he's kind of been like a little bit of a connection back to Al Davis, right? So I kind of bummed to see him go, frankly.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is he was a connection to Davis. But every year it was just like, all right, what are we going to do with him? And just never panned out. So hope he does well. Got to bless him on his journey. You know, I hope he, you know, lands somewhere and gets a shot and has a chance to do something. But, you know, it won't be with the Raiders. And so, you know, see ya. It's a business, I guess, right?
Yeah, and that's the hard part is that, you know, like we talked about earlier, you know, the humanity of this. And it's, you know, somebody lost their job. And it's like, you know, you never want to see that happen. And although they're gifted athletes that make a lot of money, at the end of the day, they're losing a job. And then also their dreams a lot of times are coming to an end. Like, this is it, you know, and they're looking at the next phase of their life. And, you know, I don't feel sorry for them by any means, but I do, you know, respect, you know, when you've all you've done your whole life is play football, and then it's turned off just like that. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? I feel for these guys, man. I do. Again, I don't really feel sorry for them, but I do. My heart goes out a little bit to them that, you know, you got to do something else, you know, unless you're Austin Howard. That guy, man, whatever. Later.
Okay, easy.
Sorry.
Easy. Captain No Empathy.
I meant to think that. I didn't mean to say that out loud. But when you rank 52 out of 77 tackles in the league, and you give up 4 of the 8 sacks that your entire team allowed in 2016, goodbye. See ya. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's going to make, look, the cap, I heard it referred to this year. The salary cap, who's it? It wasn't Scott Winter. I forget who it was. Somebody here recently referred to the salary cap is that trying to figure out what the actual numbers are on the same level as trying to interpret quantum physics. So, I mean, it's very, very difficult to try to determine how much a guy actually means to the cap at any given time. But that said, we know Austin Howard was counting for a handful of millions of dollars, whether that's $3 million or $6 million or somewhere in between. It was a bunch of money that was way more than what his, you know, 66.9 freaking PFF rating is worth. You know what I mean?
Never a big fan of Austin Howard. God bless him on his journey. Hope he lands somewhere good, much like Taiwan Jones. But of the two, I'm a little happier to see Austin Howard go. I remember last year just being irate with Austin Howard, right? Remember there was a couple games last year where it seemed like every freaking play, something happened, right? You know? So just frustrating. Gave up more sacks than everybody else combined, I think it was, on the line there. I think the release of Austin Howard highlights a bigger issue for the Raiders, which is that they don't have a right tackle. Donald Penn gets his butt in gear. He'll be there. We're solid, right? We're solid at left tackle, left guard, center, and right guard. But right tackle has been a question mark now for several years. And that's it on offense, if you think about it. Every other position on offense, we are solid, right? Even on tight end, you got Lee Smith, Jared Cook. Like, we have almost a Pro Bowl type offense almost at every position, right? With Carr, Crabtree, Cooper, Lynch. Konnichiwa, Simile, Penn, Hudson, Jackson. I mean, is there a blind spot there? That is a potent offense. But then you have the right tackle. Marshall Newhouse is slated to be that guy this year. We don't know. He's an unknown. At least with Howard, you knew he was serviceable, and you knew he could do it. He might do something stupid once in a while and give up a sack, but at least he was there. I think it was week 2 last year, had a sprained ankle, played through the injury. So he did good, but now we have a huge unknown there with Newhouse. Now, Newhouse isn't a rookie, right? Didn't we get him from somewhere?
Yeah, Green Bay, man.
Yeah, picked him up from Green Bay. So, he can play. Hasn't played a lot, I don't think. What was his deal at Green Bay? Did he play a lot of Green Bay?
Well, yeah, but you got Bakhtiari and whoever. I mean, they got some stud tackles over there in Green Bay that he's playing behind. So, I think Marshall Newhouse is definitely an upgrade over Austin Howard. Here's what I don't understand. Yeah, and we're going to talk more about middle linebacker here in a minute, but here's what I don't understand is that out of all the wonderful things that Reggie McKenzie has done for this football team, there are some amazingly big gaping holes that he has left with this team, whether it be tackle or on the defensive side of the ball, middle line. Like if you think, and the reason I'm saying this is that if you think back to when Reggie started with all that, remember when he boogered up the Jared Valdir thing and he didn't pay Jared Valdir? Jared Valdir takes off and ends up being one of the best left tackles in the game. He brings in Penn as kind of like a stopgap. Penn ends up playing way better than anybody ever expected, right? And then there was the whole Roger Saffold deal where he screwed up the thing. Like he's never really addressed the tackles in a meaningful way. Like he kind of got lucky with Penn. And so now here you got Howard, right? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's like I look at teams like the Titans where the bookends, man, you got Conklin and freaking Taylor Lewan. Like, they're solid. Like, they're amazingly. We talk about the Raiders as having one of the best offensive lines or the Cowboys or whatever. And then you look at a team like the Titans, like their bookends are freaking gnarly, man. Like the Raiders are going to have a tough time with their pass rush on the edge because you got 2 freaking rock stars holding it down over there on that line. Now I look at our team and we're like the opposite. We're like the inside out. Like we got 3 freaking rock stars in the middle, and now we got questions on the outside, on the corners. And I'm like, well, what the heck, Reggie? Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, let's get some guys in. And so, yeah, Newhouse is a nice player, but I don't know. Here's what I do know, and here's where I think we can take solace in. They have an absolute stud for a coach. Mike Tice is one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL.
He could play right tackle to this.
Yeah, exactly, right? Give him a helmet, some pad. He could go in and handle business. So I think that they're going to be fine from that aspect, is that they'll figure this thing out. And yes, it's week 1 of camp, and so maybe we're overthinking a little bit. But I don't think it hurt any of our feelings to see Austin Howard go. But now with him gone and now Penn holding out, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, we're 3/5 of the way there. Like, what do we got here? Like, know. Yeah. So
that's what makes the Penn thing that much more freaking ridiculous.
I know, right? Yeah.
I guess it all can't be perfect, huh, Murph?
Can't always be.
I got my Raiders boxers hanging low, covering the crack, because I'm listening to Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by a couple of fans, Sonny and Murf, 4 Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter.
We should redo that audio hit, because just my Uncle Mark mentioning his crack just puts a really bad image in my mind. And if anybody else knew what Uncle Mark looked like, you'd have that bad image in your mind too.
I'm wondering what crack he's talking about. There's, you know what I mean? There's so many meanings that could happen with that one,
I know what crack he's talking about.
Hey.
You've shot fireworks out of that crack. So I know
hey!
All right. Conley and Obi sign finally. First round draft pick, cornerback Garyon Conley, who surprised everybody on draft night, including us, finally signed his contract along with Obi Melafonwu.
Melafonwu.
All right. So Conley and Melafonwu both signed their deals. Real quick, we'll get to Conley in a second. I feel like Obi is beginning to have this hype around him that I don't know if he can ever live up to those expectations. We expect Obi to play middle linebacker. We expect Obi to come in this big nickel type defense. We expect him to jump 17 feet in the air. We expect him to hit guys harder than anybody else. Like, do you feel like Obi has this like aura around him now, and we haven't even done anything yet?
Yeah. I think he's a little bit of the right, like the unicorn in the forest, right? Like
yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like, "Ooh, look at this new thing! Like this is crazy." But I think there's a little bit of merit there though to that type of thinking or validity or whatever. I don't know what. It's getting late. I can't think of a fun word. But I think that there's some, there's some
truth to it.
Truth and some reasoning, to that line of thinking. Is that because he is? I mean, we're going to see some new defense. Not only are we seeing an evolving defense in the NFL, we're seeing an evolving defense in the Raiders, and I think we're going to see something special, man. It's something different. Again, we'll talk about middle linebacker later, but I think that's one of the reasons that the Raiders haven't addressed that position the way that they have is that, he's going to do some pretty special things. So we'll wait and see. But the good news is he's signed. It's a standard rookie contract. He's a second-round pick. Nothing major to report there, but he's signed. He's in camp, and I think this is going to be cool, man, watching where this thing goes.
So we'll see how he shakes out. On the other side, you got Conley.
Uh-oh.
Finally signed his deal.
Ugh.
But, Murph, there's still question marks in the air. We don't know if this guy's going to be cleared or not of his charges. And that is a big question mark. All of a sudden, all the Pollyanna talk about the Raiders over the last 7 months, we're starting to have some question marks now. Right tackle, Donald Penn holding out. We signed Conley before we actually know the verdict. Now, I still ride with Reggie on this in thinking that he did his homework before Conley was ever even drafted, and he knew it was going to shake out and be okay. So along that line of thinking, it's not surprising that Reggie signed him, right? At the same time, though, you just never know, right? OJ got off. So, you never
compared Gary Conley to OJ.
No, I didn't. I just said you never know how these things are going to shake out, right? You never know, things can happen, right? Things can happen. And so I'm skeptical until, not to mention, did he do it? And do you want that kind of guy on your team if he did do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to ride with that guy if I know he committed rape. But that's messed up. That's like one of the worst.
Well, if you're not going to have to worry about it if he gets found guilty. He won't put on a Raider uniform. You're not going to worry about that.
But even if he did do it, but then he's clear. I mean, you just don't. It's just dirty. It's just dirty.
I don't know. Well, here's what I don't like about and to try to, when you start getting into that side of it, then it takes on a whole nother line of thinking. But just in football terms. It bothered me when it happened on draft night when we did our live broadcast, and it bothers the crap out of me still now, Sonny, because I thought there was way too much unknown to spend a first-round pick. Now, look, if everything works out, fine.
Cool.
And
great,
then, yes, the Raiders got an incredible value with that pick. But if it doesn't, then they're getting clobbered in terms of value, and we've already gotten clobbered in terms of value with another cornerback drafted in the first round. I know, right? And I just think this is a major blemish on Reggie. And look, we talk a lot of positive about Reggie, and you just said you're going to ride with him, and you have no reason not to. But because of the success, but there is some pretty ugly, marks on his record though too when you go back to DJ Hayden or you go to the Jared Valdir thing or you go, you know what I mean? There's a handful of them that are out there, and this is another one, man, where I'm like, look, even if because they're right, the jury is gonna or whatever, the lawyers are gonna say whether there's an impending charge, right, or whatever, whether they're gonna they're going to push the case forward. I don't know what the legal term is, but whether they're going to do something about it or not, okay? Well, even if they just strictly say they're going to file, then the Raiders have a mess no matter what. Even if the kid 2 years from now or a year from now is found innocent, the fact that you have this looming verdict or this looming charge, there is going to be an absolute outcry to whether you let the guy play or not. Like so even if they go forward with this thing, no matter what, there's pressure on the Raiders to whether you're going to play him or not. And I think rightfully so. If you have somebody that has a pending rape charge, like, do you play that guy in good faith? And are you going to play him during the month of October during breast cancer awareness when all the players are wearing pink and, domestic violence months and all this stuff? You're going to play a freaking guy that's got a looming rape charge against him? Like, think about that. Think about the logistics of that and what that's going to look like for the team and I'm only talking about a straight football, straight business perspective. I'm not talking about the humanity and the ethics of it. My gosh, it's just a freaking disaster, man. And so the fact that Reggie willingly put them in this position by drafting that guy, I'm like, come on, Reg. Like it didn't compute then, Sonny, and again, it does not now. And it looks like it's only going worse. I don't like it, man. It's awful. It's really. We need a middle linebacker. Like, sheesh, man. You could have drafted a lot of other players with that first round pick. A lot of other good players.
I'm gonna ride with them till I'm proven wrong. But some red flags are still in the air.
Hey, Raiders fans, check this out. Raiders Fan Radio has got an app. I don't know what that means, but you do, because you're listening to this on a computer or something like that. Anyway, go to the Apple Store. Apple Store?
Apple Play Store?
Apple, nah.
No, Google Play.
Apple
has an App Store. Google
App Store. You can get it at the Apple Store or the App Store or whatever that is. You can, if you got an Android, isn't that like a robot? You can go to Google Play Store. They got show links, they got downloads, they got all kinds of really cool stuff. Hey, if you can't figure it out, give it to a teenager. They know how to work these phones better than you do.
Thanks, Uncle Tron. Appreciate that once again. All right, Murph. We're running on overtime, so we got to get moving here. What do you got on middle linebacker? What's the angle you got, Murph, that we've never heard before?
All right. Here's what I'm thinking. We are going to see, and I can't wait to ask Ted about this. When we get Ted Wynn from RaidersAnalysis.com, friend of the show, we're going to have him back on here in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to pick his brain like crazy about what he thinks the Raiders are going to do defensively. You kind of joked about Obi Melifonwu coming in and playing middle linebacker, playing everything. I don't think that's that far from the truth, and I think there is another player that is also going to have a hybrid style of play at multiple positions, and we haven't talked about him. Nobody else has talked about him, and I think it is one of the most overlooked signings of the offseason, at least in terms of the Raiders, and I'm talking about Jelani Jenkins. And there's a reason I'm saying all this is that there was an article earlier this week that came out and said, and I believe it was the Mercury News, it was, do the Raiders have a starting middle linebacker? And it was Jerry McDonald and it was Jimmy Durkin and I forget the name of the lady that hosted the little segment. But basically they talked about the players on the roster and is there a player on the roster now that can be middle linebacker? And if not, the Raiders would, would comb the waiver wire. And is that something that they should be doing at this point in the season? So they talked about Markel Lee, the Raiders draft pick where he's a 5th rounder. Talked about Corey James, who has shown flashes in the past. They talked about Ben Heaney, who has shown flashes, but then got injured. Ray Maualuga was a name that I heard floated out there a little bit. Somebody that could be signed late. Of course, everybody's familiar with Perry Riley Jr. So those are all the players that are kind of out there and would be on the short list for the Raiders starting at middle linebacker. But again, someone that no one's talking about is Jelani Jenkins. Jelani Jenkins played middle linebacker at the University of Florida. He didn't play middle linebacker exclusively there. He played outside as well, but he did play for an entire year. He played the middle linebacker position. Now, the Raiders aren't going to need, like, you know, a guy that's going to come in and get 100-plus tackles and, you know, be like a Ray Lewis type middle linebacker. That's not what they need. What they're going to need is somebody that's going to be fast, can move sideline to sideline, can run with you know, tight ends or other players out in the open field, and be like a hybrid style player. Well, that's exactly what Jelani Jenkins does. And if you look at what he did in college and what he did when he was playing well for the Dolphins, that's what he does. Plus, he's a little bit of a thumper when he arrives at the ball carrier. So I think I think that may be the angle that we hadn't considered, and that Reggie is. Now, Jenkins had a bad year last year. There's a reason that the Raiders were able to get him.
He played 9 games.
You know, because he was hurt. And I've always said this, and I will for the end of the time. You never judge a player that's playing through injuries. And he got hurt last year, and he had a dismal season because he was freaking hurt. And I don't know how healthy he is now, if he's 100% returned or not. But when he is healthy, this dude can cover, and he's got that lateral sideline to sideline speed, which is exactly what the Raiders need at middle linebacker. So, and he's kicked inside and played there before. So if we are to see this hybrid defense that we're all expecting, Jenkins could be the guy. He absolutely could be the guy. Now, again, when we signed him, we thought he was going to be the direct replacement for Malcolm Smith to take that position on the outside. But I think it's very possible that we could see him come in. And if we're playing big nickels and we're playing all these, you know, super coverage style defenses, you're only going to have 1 or 2 linebackers on the field anyways, or 1 or 2 that are going to be playing where he's going to be playing at depth, you know, because the rest of your linebackers are going to be on the line of scrimmage. Irvin and Mack and these guys are going to be up on the line. So I don't know. I just think it's a very interesting angle, and I hadn't considered it until I read that or saw that read that article and saw those little interviews with those 2 beat writers. And they didn't mention Jelani Jenkins, you know, directly, but they kind of did in a roundabout way. And I kind of went, you know, started my line of thinking that way and did a little bit more research on him than I had done when we signed him originally. And Sonny, I think it's feasible. I think that there is a world where we see Jelani Jenkins as our starting guy, you know, week 1 in the middle. That's all I got.
Murf. 2013, he had 15 tackles. 2014, 83 tackles, 3.5 sacks. 2015, 50 tackles. 2016, 15 tackles. 2014 was his best year. Started in 14 games, played in 15 total with 83 tackles. 2015, started in 13 games and only had 50 tackles. Could be. Could be. I think where you're more on, or not, you're not here a moron.
Hey, man, why you gotta call me a moron? Hey, you know,
where you're more on point is that I think, if anything, he could be used in the hybrid type defenses that you strongly believe the Raiders are going to do, and they could do. We'll see. I think he could be used in that big nickel type set or a 3-3-5 type setting. I think definitely he could fill a role in that stance.
And Sonny too, he's 25 years old. Like, he's a young guy. You know what I mean? That's the other thing too, is that, like, if he has a good year, because he's got a super friendly contract, right? Because he's coming off of that injury year. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, so dude, I mean, he could have like a good year, and then he could be a freaking another 5-year starter for us, or 4 years anyways. You know what I mean? Till he's 29, 30 years old. Like, this could now see that all that smack I just talked about Reggie last segment. This is where he shines. Like, if Jenkins plays like he's has the potential to, and he isn't just, you know, he could flame out. He could go the way of Quentin Groves. You know what I mean? Like, who we all liked at one point. You know what I mean? He could go that way. I don't know. Or Aaron Curry or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it could be one of those kind of situations. But I don't know. I mean, he's all the potential is there for him to do it. And if he does, the Raiders have stolen a freaking guy for on the cheap that, you know, that they'll be able to sign for a long term and have a good serviceable career out of him. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think that's just it. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of, as the season gets closer and closer, the Raiders still have some holes. So there is a lot of we'll sees still at play. Could Jenkins fill that spot? I think he could be onto something with the hybrid defenses and stuff like that. If it's a traditional middle linebacker role, I mean, he hasn't played it since college, and we already got Corey James and Ben Heaney and most likely Markel Lee ahead of him in that slot. I think right now the Raiders lean into Markel Lee. If it's a traditional 3-4 or 4-3, Markel Lee would probably fill that slot over Jenkins, but he could be, and I think that's just the state of the Raiders' defense right now in the middle linebackers. There's a lot of could-bes, and we just won't know until probably week 1 against Tennessee.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These two. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at RaidersFanRadio, or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter, but they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
All right, that concludes this week's episode. It's a lengthy episode, pushing 2 hours now on the show. Once again, thanks.
It's only training camp.
I know.
We're going to do by week 5.
Two shows during the season. Special thanks to Raider Jeff from DeadPirateSports.com. Again, he's doing a giveaway. All you got to do is answer 2 questions. Be the first person to text him your answer. The number to text him is 801-259-4165. Again, that number is 801-259-4165. Answer one or both of these questions. Which player from the Raiders starred in the movie Behind the Green Door? And let's just put this out there. We are not endorsing the movie Behind the Green Door on our show. And the second question is, how many touchdowns does Marshawn Lynch have in 2010? If you are the first person to answer either of those questions and you send Raider Jeff a text message with the right answer, he will orchestrate and send out a $25 gift card and gift bag to you. On top of that, I'm giving you a lot of numbers here. If you call into the show, our hotline at 909-345-3346, again, that's 909-345-3346. Tell us why you love the Raiders, and we'll run it for about 2 weeks, so maybe we'll stop it on the 10th of August. Anytime before the 10th of August, call in 909-345-3346. Leave us a voicemail stating why you love the Raiders, and we'll go through them, and at random, we'll pick one, we'll play it on the air, and we'll also, courtesy of DeadPirateSports.com, we'll send you a gift card worth $25 and a gift bag that I believe Jeff stated had over $100 of free Raider swag. All right, Murph, anything else before we get going? We'll start talking about our Tennessee plans starting to come together, and that'll be pretty exciting. Look forward to meeting a lot of people we've talked to on the show. Also just meeting new faces and doing a live podcast. Is there such thing as a live podcast? A live podcast recording.
How about a live recording with a later post podcast? But yes, actually, that is one thing I did want to talk about, that we are planning on. Raider Nation will be in Lot N at Nissan Stadium, and you can find Raiders Fan Radio there broadcasting. We're not broadcasting, we're recording. That's what we got to say.
Recording live.
We'll be recording live from Lot N, which is where most of Raider Nation will be. So if you're coming to the game, look for us in Lot N. We'll be in that morning, and we'll be recording our not only our weekly show, but we will probably be on the move a little bit and doing some walking interviews with members of Raider Nation, the different booster clubs that will be there from Tennessee and other areas. And we're even going to hopefully have a couple of sit-down interviews when we record our our weekly show. Some of our friends that you've heard on Raiders Fan Radio in the past, and some new ones as well. So should be a good time in the Music City week 1.
All right, and until then, it's Raider Nation, wherever, forever.
To win the Super Bowl, that's the main reason why I'm doing this. You know, I'm not playing for money. You know, I'm not playing for money. You know, I'm not playing for money.